Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a really quiet, contemplative journey into the nature of regret, the invisible weight of our decisions, and those paths we leave behind. We're diving into a fascinating concept from reflective humanism, and it's absolutely going to challenge how we process our own personal histories.
So let's just jump right in by posing this lingering question. Are the futures we didn't choose truly lost? Just take a second to reflect on your own unchosen paths. Those forks in the road where you went left instead of right. What actually happens to that right path? Does it just vanish into thin air? Or does it leave behind this sort of afterimage? Let's start with section 1, the closed paths. To choose is also to close.
To really understand this, we need to look at the universal micro-moment of making a decision. Because everyday decisions generate an entirely unseen history right alongside our lived reality. Think about a job you turned down, or maybe a city you almost moved to, or even a relationship that just ran its course. Every single time you say yes to one thing, you are literally saying no to a multitude of others. That moment of decision doesn't just create the reality you're stepping into, it creates this parallel graveyard of closed possibilities. But as we're going to see, those possibilities aren't quite as dead as we might think.
Moving on to section 2, lived versus imagined lives, the asymmetry of possibility. What's really fascinating here is the profound asymmetry between reality and imagination. The life we actually live is observed through direct experience, which basically means it's full of friction. It's got failure, boredom, fatigue, bad weather, awkward conversations, the whole shebang. But the life we didn't choose, well, it was never experienced. It's totally blank. So our imagination just rushes in to fill up all those unknown blank spaces. The unchosen path looks flawlessly beautiful simply because it lacks the everyday friction of reality. We end up comparing our messy Tuesday morning with this perfectly curated imaginary fantasy of what could have been. Which brings us to section 3, the structure of regret, reframing the pain of choice. Because that unchosen path looks so incredibly appealing, we often fall straight into a trap. We rely on this familiar but really flawed interpretation of regret. First, we get a bad outcome. Next, we assume this means we made the wrong choice. And finally, we feel regret. This traditional model essentially penalizes us, right? It treats our emotional pain merely as evidence that we made a mistake, forcing us to look backward and just wish we could undo time.
But actually, scratch that. Consider this reframed structural reality instead. You have multiple possibilities, you make a decision, and some possibilities close. The absolutely crucial realization happens right at the end. A loss of freedom is felt. Regret isn't necessarily about making a wrong choice. It's really just a natural grief over the loss of degrees of freedom. Before you made that choice, you had options. Making a real decision collapsed those options. So what you're feeling as regret is often just the echo of that lost freedom. It's the sudden realization that you are now bound to one timeline. And honestly, realizing this changes everything.
Let's look at section 4, reconnecting with lost values. Reconnecting versus reconnecting. This is the absolute core mechanism for handling those closed paths. It's simple, but it is profound. We cannot physically return to the future we didn't choose, but we absolutely can reconnect with what it represented. We just have to let go of the fantasy of time travel. Restoring the past is impossible, but relocating the value from a lost possibility into a new current path, that is highly possible, and honestly, it's incredibly empowering. Think about it like this. For example, if you mourn a career you didn't pursue, say becoming an architect, you might actually just be missing the specific interest it contained, like designing structured environments. And you can still apply that in your current job today. If you regret not moving to a specific city, perhaps what you're really mourning is the vibrant, walkable lifestyle you associated with it, a quality you can absolutely start building in your current neighborhood. Or if you mourn an ended relationship, you might just be missing a core value from it, like deep intellectual conversation, which you can intentionally bring into your new relationships. So we can actually build this into a literal process of value extraction. First, observe the unchosen future without any judgment. Second, separate the value contained within it. Isolate the signal from the noise. And third, reconnect that value to your present path. This framework allows you to honor a past alternative without invalidating the life you're currently living. You really don't have to hate your current reality to admit that a closed path held something beautiful. Let's shift gears a bit for section 5. AI as an observer, the danger of plausible illusions. As we navigate these counterfactual lives today, we really have to define our relationship with AI. Listen, AI is not an oracle.
If you feed it your life story and ask, what if I had taken that other job, it's going to generate a highly plausible, flawless narrative for you. It is incredibly dangerous to read that output and think, oh, this is the life that should have happened. But what AI is a conversational surface. You can use it as an atmospheric mirror to reflect what truly matters to you right now. You can talk to AI to help extract those hidden values we just discussed, using it as a tool for self-observation. Definitely not as a generator of fake regrets. Finally, let's zoom out for Section 6, Archives of Unchosen Futures, Civilizational Scale. It's not just us as individuals, right? Entire civilizations carry the invisible weight of unchosen paths. Think of the technologies we bypassed, the policies we voted down, or cities that never made it past the blueprint stage. History is usually written by the victors, meaning it only preserves the single route that was actually taken. But to mature as a civilization, we really need to understand what we left behind. And this perfectly illustrates why a society must intentionally preserve its rejected alternatives. A standard decision archive tells us what we did. It records the actual historical path taken. But a counterfactual archive preserves the rejected paths, the reasons they were rejected, and what was completely unknown at the time. Future generations need to know not just what we chose, but what we didn't choose and why. Because if conditions change, say a climate crisis or a major technological breakthrough, those future generations might need to go back into the counterfactual archive and pull forward an idea that we abandoned. We have to leave them the blueprints of our unchosen futures. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the micro moments of our daily choices to the vast archives of human history. And I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Are you truly mourning a different life? Or are you just searching for a lost value you can still reclaim today? The paths we close are never truly lost. They become the after-images that guide us toward what we value most in the present. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this helps you look at your own unchosen paths in a whole new light.